a chance.
Welcome to the Speaker Circle, where we're a safe place to come and gather virtually to share resources, ask questions, and receive monthly training to build our speaker profile. Whether you're a new emerging speaker or you're an advanced speaker, we invite all to come here. Join us today on Facebook at My Speaker Circle. See you soon.
Woo-wee! We are back, guys. Can you believe that it's already been a month? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Lanice McGee. Welcome to the Speaker Circle. I know that we have a few new people to our group, so I want to say welcome. If you are new here, just so you know, every month we bring an expert to this platform so that you can connect. The whole goal of the Speaker Circle group is to share information so that you can grow your speaker profile. My goal is to be the connector for you, and that's what I do every month. I bring those experts to you. I definitely believe that we are stronger together. And so, like the months before, I am super, super excited. I'm really excited today because we have a very, very special guest for you today that's going to share some exciting news. I'm going to interview him. And feel free, if you have additional questions, to ask away. We'll make sure that those questions get answered. Even if they don't get answered now, they will get answered later. So we are going to interview today Dr. Earl Davis Jr. Yes, and if you guys seen the topic, I know there was some excitement when I posted the topic that you can change your life. One speech, yes, one speech, but you have to have a strategy. And our expert today is going to tell us how. And I really, really believe in him. I believe that he can do it. Why do I believe that he can do it? Because I have worked with him personally, and I know that he can do it. And so that's why he is here today to share some information with you. I'm going to ask him some questions, and he is known as the small business rainmaker, right? He gonna make it rain, okay? So I want you guys to get your pens. I want you guys to invite people. I want you guys to make sure that you are attentively listening today. So what we do when we bring someone on, y'all give some love, show some hearts and love for Dr. Earl Davis Jr. Welcome,
Hello.
welcome.
Hello, how are you tonight? I've got
I
only
am
just a minute.
wonderful. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I've got only just a minute, got but 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Got only just a minute, just a tiny little minute, and eternity is in it. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight, as well as your audience.
Oh my, okay, you already ready to bring it. I see you guys. Look, do I ever disappoint? Well, look, my guests don't disappoint. Let's put it that way. And my guest is not going to disappoint tonight. And so, Dr. Davis Jr., why should someone stop right now what they're doing? Because there's so many different podcasts, there's so many different groups, there's so many different voices out there, but particularly those that are in this speaker group, there are speakers. Why should they stop and listen to what you have to share today? Why should they listen?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on your show, your platform. I'm hearing a lot of things about what you've got going on all around the world. People are buzzing, talking about the speaker circle. And when we connected, I said, yeah, sure, I would love to be here. But the reason why people should listen to me, first off, a friend of mine used to be a commentator on PBS, Mr. Tavis Smiley. He told me, he said, let other people praise you. He said, let other people praise you. So if you're asking me that question, normally people are telling me why they are hiring me, why they're bringing me on. But the reason why someone should listen to me, number one, is because I am a speaker. When you're a speaker who lives this life, who walks this life, who talks the talk, who's not just cutting and pasting something, somebody who's been in the trenches for almost 27 years now, as a matter of fact, almost 27 years. I got started back when I was about 18, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around in there, and I've been going nonstop. I've been inducted into a number of expert circles, but I got to tell you, Lanice, um, it's a very rare thing for you to catch me on camera
Mhm.
because I am a ghost marketer. Just like you hear the term ghost writer, you
Mhm.
never really know who the ghost writer is.
Mhm.
And I'm a ghost marketer, so I'm the guy behind a lot of projects, a lot of people, a lot of systems. So at some point, your audiences have seen my words in magazines, they've heard my strategies on television, they've read my words in other people's books, and so forth. And I don't mind doing that because I believe that people should get the exposure and the help that they need. And but I've uh, toured with some of the bigger names in the industry that your audience probably looks up to, like my personal friend and mentor, Mr. Les Brown, Brian Tracy, uh, with the late Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey. You name the greats. I've probably spent a little time with them, done work with them, and it's just been an amazing journey over these last 20 some odd years.
Wow. So I had some other questions, but of course, because what you shared, I have to back that up and ask you a little bit about what you said. You said a ghost marketer. And so I have heard that term when it comes to books, right? But are you saying that speakers, there is a market for that for speakers? If
Yes,
so, does that work the same? How does that work? How does speakers utilize a ghost marketer?
ghost marketer. Well, what's really great about it, a lot of times the reason why speakers don't really have I don't want to say opportunity, but they don't advance as fast as they could is because they're normally doing other things. When I got started into speaking, the income wasn't really that good because I was new. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just learning my own message. I was finding my voice. I didn't have the contacts. I didn't have, the money. They always say, show me the money. I didn't have the money. But I had a dream, I had a desire, I had a goal to help other people. And so um, what happens is that a speaker, when they have to juggle a lot of these things, they lose a lot of their ability to be effective in terms of the marketing aspect of things. So when I got settled into my career and I started seeing where people needed help, I've always been a guy that has been someone that has liked to help other people along, especially speakers who are struggling. And so I became and created this little niche for myself, where I let the other people take the credit, and we do a lot of the work for them, so that they could, advance. And we did that for a number of years, and then it began to get lucrative, and I like that a whole lot because I'm able to keep my anonymity, and so I could go into a restaurant and nobody will know who I am, and
Mhm.
I can get into events and so forth without paparazzi being there. But a lot of my clients are people who are very, very high profile. I do non-disclosure agreements and so forth, so they get the credit. But that's how that whole thing happened. It started from a speech, though, which is very ironic about your title tonight. It started with your speech. This is what I teach in my programs with my clients, my customers, especially new beginning speakers that we end up working with, is that I tell them that speaking is a vehicle that can take you anywhere you want to go.
Mhm.
It's the vehicle. And so if you use your career, if you use your talent, your talk, your message to get you on that platform, it can really take you anywhere you want to go. But it's very, very nice. I don't want to say the dollar figures that are in mind because it may sound too good to be true. But I want to tell you, Lanice, it's real. Let me tell you, it is real.
Wow. So when it comes to the marketing as a ghost marketer, does that mean like everything from the speech to the book to the actual marketing
Yes, it's
pieces,
whatever
the
that client
course?
needs.
Wow.
It's whatever
Okay.
they need. And so what
Hmm.
happens is when people are able to get my time, you see, I do speaking training type things like that in my off season. My busy season is between August until December, with the exception of this year because we're still rebounding from COVID and so forth. And so my focus as a CEO of my company has changed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more in the philanthropy space right now, and that's why it was so tough for us to actually make this happen. But because of the importance of your work, I said I would like to help you, and I, changed up some things in my schedule to actually be here today. But that's normally how it works. You find out what the client needs, what they want. Some they don't need everything that the next person needs. Some just need help raising funds.
Mm-hmm.
Some need help with introductions. I've had a couple of clients that needed to be able to meet presidents, and we were able to introduce them and have meetings with presidents. In my lineup, I know about personally 4 different presidents that have actually run the country, and it's very cool to be able to have access to these great minds.
So, if someone is brand new and they don't have a lot of experience, you can help them as well. Is there certain kind of clients that you're just like, well, you're not really ready for that, or how does that vetting process work?
Well, the vetting process for me is more of a character thing.
Okay.
Um, if you train a person who has terrible motives and morals, then they have great skills, but then they do bad things with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people, and I'm quite sure your audience will agree. They've gone to programs before, and the only thing that happened was that people kept trying to sell to them and pitch to them, and all they were doing is attempting to get empowerment, but yet they heard all these pitches from morning until night. And I'm not going to say that that's necessarily bad, but a lot of times it can distort the good qualities of what the speaking industry really is about. And so I've kind of separated myself from that. The way I find my clients, though, is that it mainly is word of mouth. And so, and it was great because when one person sees the results you get for them, and then you don't really have to go through the haggling process. They know your routine, they know your rhythm. And so what I'm looking at is the heart of the person. I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at what impact do they really want to make on the world? Is it something that's just to, grow your pocketbook, or is it a combination of growing your pocketbook while you're changing somebody's life and attempting to make a difference in the world? I think about Horace Mann that said we should be ashamed to die until we've made a major contribution to humankind. And that's the way I
Wow.
like to live my life.
So how will somebody know that they're ready? Because a lot of times what can happen is, especially as a new speaker or even an experienced speaker, there's so much coming at you, right? How do you know, like, this is something that you're ready for, or you're ready to embark? Because I'm assuming there's a level of commitment for that as well. So how do you know, or what advice would you give for someone to know, like, you're ready to go ahead and move forward?
Well, I can't speak for everybody's method technique. I can only tell you what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that we work is that depending on where you are, so even if you're a beginner, we have a platform for that. I had a client one time who was a retired football player, and he was looking to start a youth facility, and he was terrible at giving speeches, terrible, or at least he felt. And I actually met him at a uh, program where it was for sports people and business people. It was a matchmaking type of a program. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, athletes they're great on the field, they get injured, and then the team forgets about them, and so they're kind of stuck not really knowing how to function outside of the sport. And then of
Mm-hmm.
course the business person, you may have a great business, but you don't have that third party endorsement to kind of elevate your status or get you the exposure. So this group was together, and this particular day my client happened to be one of the speakers. And so after the speech was over, I go over to him and I say, you were the greatest speaker that was here tonight. And there was about 3 or 4 of them. And he said, well, if I'm so great, how come Booger McFarland, his name is Anthony McFarland, he used to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He said, well, how come everybody went over to shake his hand? And you're talking about some 700 people, and there was only 2 people standing around him. I said, well, when you just won a Super Bowl, everybody's going to go to the guy that's current. I said, but your message was sustaining. People are going to remember what you said because you spoke from your heart. And I said, and this is how I got him to become my client. I said, tell me what you want to do. And he told me about that he needed to make these speeches to get people aware of his tutoring programs and after school care programs. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, if you'll give me 30 days, I'll have you speaking in front of 5,000 people like it's nothing. and you'll get three standing ovations. He said, no, I can't do it. I said, sure, you can. And we worked out a system to where we chose to interview him, and because he was very comfortable. And so in this big auditorium where we were, all the lights were turned off. So just the stage lights were on. And so it was just he and I on stage. And after a point in time, I backed away out of the conversation, and he just was speaking from his heart. And he sure enough received two, actually three standing ovations, just as we said before. And now he has a string of tutoring facilities all throughout the state of Florida. He's an amazing guy. I used to play for the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. So we call this one speech. So do you really need one speech to get started, or what is it that you would say someone needs to even get started for a speaker that's listening?
Well, I think you need three things, and then I'll talk about the one speech aspect. You need three things.
Mhm.
Number one, you need a dream. Number two, you need a team. And number three, you need a scheme. Now, I said scheme because it rhymes, but really we're talking about a plan. A plan
Mhm.
is your preparation, leverage, action strategy, and your network. And so when you have those three things working in tandem, you're going to go very, very far. And so, in terms of the message in the speech, though, you want to have your core story. You want to have your core message. I used to be like a lot of new speakers, thinking that I had to change my talk every time I went into a brand new audience. But the truth is, especially when you're an unknown, nobody's really heard your speech. So why change to have 30 and 40 speeches if the audience still doesn't really know your one speech? But that was my novice nature when I got in the business. The more I stuck to the business, I realized that all the great speakers, the greater they were, the more recognized that they were, the more they were a household name, the more that you saw their books were the ones that were in all the stores selling, they only had one speech, one speech that they had been working on for 30, 40, in some cases 50 years. And so if you were a brand new person coming into their audience, it seemed like it was a brand new speech. But it's just imagine like a book that has 60 chapters in it. All they did was pick a paragraph from one chapter, and you might have thought that was a brand new speech. So what we do with speakers, if we're focusing just on that, we try to help them to find what I call their speaker's philosophy. Because another thing that happens is I teach speaking is a projection of who you are and not who you think you ought to be.
Mm.
Speaking is a projection of who you are and not who you think you ought to be. And invariably, there are a lot of speakers who are attempting to be like someone else. They may have heard of Les Brown, they may have heard of Tony Robbins, they may have heard of Ayanla Van Zant, they may have heard a quality speaker like that, and they try to imitate that person, which I think is great in the beginning, but a lot of times we miss our own messages. We miss our own specialness when we take it to that degree. And the key, though, is being true to your message, true to where you are. So, in
Mhm.
the example that I give in my workshops, that if all I had was a title of a book, let's say I'm writing a book and all I had was the title, I would immediately teach a seminar on how to write or how to pick the title to your book. If that's all I have, then let's say I finish the first chapter of my book. Then I'm going to have another seminar that's how to pick your title and complete your first chapter. So that way I can always be true. Now, that may seem like a small thing, but what that does is it helps you to define your niche, your
Mhm.
niche. And I didn't realize that when I was getting started, but I didn't believe in trying to make something up. So when I was charging, and I don't mind saying this, and hopefully your audience will feel it in my spirit, feel it in my sincerity, if that's what they're feeling. But I remember when I was charging 10,000 for a talk. I charge a lot more than that now, but when I was charging 10,000 a talk for speeches and things of that nature, I would tell people, I know that it's possible to get 100,000 per talk. I'm a backup speaker. Back in those days, I was backup speaking for a lot of the big giants in the business, and they were earning 120,000 for 20 minutes, 300,000 for another 30 minutes. I mean, ridiculous numbers like that that would make people just, bug out, if you will. But it was true. But I would never dare. attempt to teach somebody how to do that when I'm not doing it myself. So I've always stayed at the level of where I am if I'm teaching speakers on how to charge a fee or something like that. And so I would teach them only what I could do, which was 10,000 a talk. Now the truth is, from where I come from and where many new speakers come from, 10,000 per talk is not a pretty bad day. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
It's not a bad day at all.
Let me let me get to how to contact you right now. Let's no, okay, no, we have some more questions. We have some more questions here. So we are going to get to that though. I would like to share with the people how to contact you if they would like to contact with you later. So, but just in case, I want to make sure that those that are listening will be able to grab some nuggets for themselves and be able to move forward in their speaking career. And so we talked a little bit about positioning themselves right, and being an influencer kind of in their field of what they know, like talking about what you know. So is there any way that a new speaker can kind of position themselves, or how do they become known for what they think they know about?
Okay, well that's great. Remember, I told you it takes a dream, it takes
Mm-hmm.
a team, and it takes a scheme. So when you're crafting your message, that's mainly the dream stage. I would dream of all the audiences that I wanted to speak in front of. I would dream about all the people that I want to meet, share the stage with, write books with, do joint venture partnership deals with, and I would just dream. One of the people who I dreamed about was meeting Les Brown. Les Brown was the tops for me. In fact, Les Brown is the greatest motivator on the face of the planet that I know of, the greatest. And I've seen a lot of speakers, and I wanted to work with him. I first learned about him, if you can imagine, I was supposed to go to a manpower event with Bishop T.D. Jakes. And I know you're a believer, so I hope you don't mind if I mention his name, but he's a great man of God. And I was going to his manpower event, and I was supposed to go anyway, and I couldn't make it. So a buddy of mine went to the event, and in those days they had the cassette audio tapes, and so he recorded it. He bought the sessions, all 6 sessions for the week, and brought them back to me so I could feel like I was there. And so in those days, I had never heard about Les Brown. This is 1998. So if you want to date it, it's 1998. I had no clue who Les Brown was, and which is a funny thing. Everybody knows who Les is these days, but I didn't know who he was. And so when I got the tapes back from the program, there were 6 audio tapes in there, and I looked at all who the speakers were, and the very last tape was Les Brown. I didn't know who Les Brown was, so I only listened to the first 5 tapes, and I didn't listen to the second, that last, the sixth tape, which was the Les Brown tape. It wasn't until that I was having a very low time in my business. I was out there hustling, trying to make it happen, and then Spirit impressed me. You remember that tape that's left in the box that you didn't listen to? Go get that tape. And I went back and I plugged it in, and then I heard his deep baritone voice. It's possible, you know, it's necessary, you know, it's worth it. And he was going through this whole spiel about it's possible, it's possible, it's possible. And then I knew that he was the one that was supposed to be for me. And I set out to meet him. I called his office every Monday and Thursday. I didn't know him. I didn't know anybody that knew him. I used the 800 number that was on the back of the audio program that was there in the system, and I called his office, twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, for a year and a month straight.
Wow.
And I finally got an interview, and the rest is, as they say, history. So I think in the dreaming phase, you want to be clear on specifically what it is that you want, um, and the bigger the better. I teach that it's not that we aim too high and we miss, but it's that we aim too low and we hit. So
Mm.
I believe that you want to dream. The first step to meeting and making these type of connections is very strange. See, like attracts like. There any People who have studied physics or studied math or science, they've heard that term before. Like attracts like. And here's something else worth writing down. You don't achieve success, you attract success. A lot of people, they want to go out and achieve success. But when you chase success like that, it's just like what the proverb says in the great scriptures, that when you chase money, money develops wings and flies away. That's a proverb. And it's like that with success as well. If you're going out there to attempt to achieve it, you'll never really hit what you're attempting to do. But become, when you become, when you become, see, you cannot be what you are not, but you can become what you are not. And when you become, it sets a force. So what I tell people, it sets you like a magnetic type of a force. So what I teach people is once you dream about who you'd like to share the stage with, who do you think you could, who you think can advance your career, one of the very first things you want to do is get a copy of their book or some product that they have. Because what happens is now that puts you in the same space.
Mm.
It links you together. Now, the more you study that product, the more you get on there, you find out what their itinerary is and things like that. You're going to increase that magnetism. But the simple act of just purchasing their book puts you on a course to meet them. Um, right
Wow.
now, I'm actually on a course to meet someone. I've always been a big J Lo fan,
Mhm.
and I put her down on my list like I do every year, the people that I want to work with and so forth. And I just put her down on my list. I would say as of 60 days ago, now this is about 2 years later from the time that I first wrote the name down. 2 years later, which is now and currently in real time, someone passed me her phone number and contact information. And now I'm on trajectory. Now she's very busy, so it's going to be tough to catch her right now. She's doing a lot of projects, but she and I will be doing something very, very soon, just because I'm on track to. And so that may seem foreign to people, but that's what I do. When I wanted to meet presidents, when I wanted to meet some of the top science people, when I wanted to meet some of the great innovators in the automobile industry, like Mary Barra, who was the first CEO of General Motors, when I wanted to connect with her, I got on this path just by purchasing a book, just by purchasing something. It put me in the trajectory, and then life takes care of itself. So positioning yourself, it's all about the kinds of people. First of all, the mind state that you have, like attracts like. If you don't have the same type of a mindset, let's say you work hard, and the person that the other person that you're trying to meet works hard, but you play around a lot. That's not going to work because that person is very, very intensely serious. They work very, very hard. A person that I'm an admirer of, I haven't met him yet, but he's on my list of people to meet. Is a guy by the name. Your audience will probably know him. His name's Little Wayne. This guy has one of the greatest work ethics on the face of the planet. And but if you play games, you're not serious. You're not going to be able to stay in that type of same space. So most of the people that you see, they're very hard workers. Whether it's in business, whether it's in sports. Kobe Bryant. Um, he passed not too long ago, and what drew us together, we had just made contact with his venture capital company, and we were going to be doing some projects. That was the plan, but he passed before we could actually make that happen. But he lost a lot of teammates because he worked hard, and the people around him didn't understand it. So you want to have the right mindset, number one, and secondly, you want to have the right types of people around you. Your team. Your team is very important. That's another thing that we work on when we're helping to build and construct a business, is helping people to get the right team. Now there are 7 positions for this team. And if people will use the email address that we have, I'll make sure that they get all 7 positions. And so they'll know exactly who should be the makeup on their team. And everybody should have these 7 positions on their team. Of course, the industry is going to vary a little bit, but these are the 7 general things. Bill Clinton, I learned these 7 positions from Bill Clinton. President Barack Obama has these 7 same positions. A lot of people don't like him right now, but even the past president, Mr. Trump, he had those same 7 positions. These positions show up over and over again. And what I teach in my seminars is that successful people do what unsuccessful people fail to do. And so if
Mhm.
we could find out, though, in terms of speaking wise, if we find out the things that successful speakers do and you imitate that, you can also emulate their results. It's a wonderful thing.
Wow. And I can't believe we're already at 30 minutes and I did not even get through like half of the questions that I want to
I
ask you.
apologize. I
No,
apologize.
that's okay because this was good. This was good. So we got a lot of good information out today. So is there any question that I didn't ask you that you think I should have asked? What is something that as a speaker that we when we're in like when we're positioned with people of influence, what are questions that we should ask that sometimes we don't?
Yeah, the number one question that I would ask, and it's the same question that I asked Les Brown that caused him to ask me to join his dream team in 2002. I would ask, what are your top three goals and what are your top three challenges? What are your top three goals and what are your top three challenges? And the reason why is that when you find out what the person is working on and you find out what's preventing them from getting to that level, if you can be that person that either solves it from what you do on your own or you can find a way to solve it, you'll become extremely valuable to that person. You'll become extremely valuable to that movement. The other thing that I would say is you want to be a problem solver. See, we're living, the world has changed in a very big way. The speaking industry has changed quite a bit. And so if you're just going into the industry as somebody that's saying dream big, work hard, don't give up, the phone is not going to ring often for you. I should say the Snapchat or the Instagram is not going to buzz for you that much. But when you can actually talk about solving real problems with your talk, right now, people don't realize that, and I think we talked about this the other day, but I'll say it for your audience, that 71 top bankers died. Supposedly, they committed suicide, right? I'm not going to get into that, but what I will say is this: they died. What did those bankers see about 2022 that caused them to take their life? What did they see? What did they know? What did they know? Most people don't realize that in 2020, 2,100 banks closed. They don't realize that in 2021, 2,900 banks closed. They don't realize that between the space of January to about March, 627 banks closed, and thousands more are set to be closed by the end of this year. The world has changed. And it's why I believe that the speaking industry is the most important industry on the face of the planet. And it's one of the reasons why I spend time with speakers because the speakers that we help, and I'm a believer, I'm respectful of what all people believe, but I'm personally a believer. And I try to give my clients the understanding of this. In the Bible, there were two characters. One was Jesus, the other was John the Baptist. And when I'm dealing with my clients in this example, my clients are normally Jesus, and I'm the John the Baptist. The difference is that they don't know that they're Jesus. They have 99% of what it takes. They just don't know what that 1% is. And once we give them that 1% or show them what that 1% is, they go off running. My average speaker earns about $3,500 per 30-minute talk. A lot of them do a lot more, but that's a great beginning for starting for first time or beginner speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I would say to people is that you want to take your message seriously. You want to make sure that you take the time to study your message. One last thing, I was dealing with a person that was a psychologist who was attempting to emerge at the height of the pandemic when for mental health, and they were great in their profession, but they were struggling as a speaker. And so I said, "How many medical books do you have?" And the person said, "About 20 medical books." I said, "How long did it take you to become that doctor?" "About 10 years." I said, "Let me ask this question. how many books on speaking do you have? And the answer was zero. Zero books. 20 books to become a doctor. How big is your library to learn the speaking business? Is it one book? Is it two books? And the best book that I can think of, I'll tell you, the very best book on speaking, bar none, is a book entitled Speak and Grow Rich. Speak and Grow Rich. It was
Okay.
written by my mentor, Dottie Walters, the late, great Dottie Walters. I know her personally. Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, allowed her to use that title because he was so impressed with the work that she was doing for women at that time and then ultimately around the world. Every major speaker has had some dealings with Dottie Walters. And so when I met her, she changed my life. And if you guys go out and get her book, it's going to change your life too. I'm convinced.
Wow. So, this has been great. So I do a few final questions. One is how, of course, I'm going to share your email. So if people want to connect with you, I want to definitely encourage you to send Dr. Davis Jr. an email to connect. But I want you to share with them what services that you offer, if they want to connect with you, and then any parting words after you share how they can connect with you and services that you provide.
Well, that's a very good thing. Thank you for asking that. Normally, I do train speakers, but that's more of a word of mouth thing. I work with 20 people a year. My schedule doesn't allow me to take on much more than that. But there's an area that has emerged that we started working on, which is called the relaunch your speaking business. And I don't have to be as on hands with that because when I'm dealing with speakers, I like to get heavily involved with them so we can know each other. Um, we know each other's rhythm, we know each other's timing, we know everything about each other in that process, so we can help them become as effective as they can be. The relaunch though is a little bit different. The relaunch we do relaunches every 90 days for new speakers. But what I would say is this, because I'm not the only coach that's out there. There are a lot of great coaches that are out there. I would say find somebody that that you enjoy, number one, and look and see their business model. Look, observe. Is it one that is something that you think you might want to buy into? And if so, then I would set out to meet that person. I would set out to become their apprentice. Um, I learned how to sell products by running Brian Tracy's book table. And this guy, I saw him sell out all of his products. His average product in those days was like about 800 bucks. His average product. And in an audience of about 7,000 people, he sold out within the first 20 minutes just from selling his product. And it was the most fascinating thing I had ever seen in my life. And I said, "How do you sell products?" And he taught me how to sell products. And then, of course, I found my way to move, and so that was comfortable with me. And so I would say coaching is a very, very big thing. I do have some freebies that I'm going to give your audience. Whoever reaches out in the email, there's a long list of gifts that we're going to give. I don't want to, it's just going to blow your mind. I'll say the entire package is probably worth about eight or $9,000 worth of material that we're going to make sure that your people get. One big one is that I would say it's very important that speakers in the beginning that they work to keep their credit score very high. I didn't understand how important it is to raise funds in the beginning because in order to compete in today's marketplace, to buy Facebook ad space, to get traffic to come to wherever you're attempting to send it, you're talking about dollars. I do work in the industry, the movie industry as well, to help promote certain things. And the amount of money they spend to make a movie happen beyond the budget of hiring the various actors there, it's incredible. And when you look at these budgets, you wonder, you say, well, I see how they became famous. If I had $1 million to spend just on advertising myself, I'd be great too. So what we do is we try to find a mechanism and means to help us to get that same volume of market share. But having a good credit score is very, very important. Do what you can to guard it. Then also make sure you have good business credit. My favorite book says that a good name is rather to be chosen. So those are two important things. If you look at politics, I hate politics, by the way, but if you look at politics, they can teach you a lot of good things. In this aspect, I'm talking about the fundraising aspect. In order to become a president, you have to be able to raise a minimum of $100 million, a
Ooh.
minimum of 100 million. And from the day they take office until the day they leave, they're constantly raising money. Now, I admire what President Barack Obama did. He broke the mold in terms of how people raise money. He learned from Howard Dean. Howard Dean started it, but when Barack Obama got a hold of the marketing strategy, he took it to the bank. And people have been copying that system ever since. So, what I would say is you want to learn how to raise funds. You want to learn how to be able to uh, bring funding in. The more funding you have, the better it's going to be for you. Even terrible speakers, and I say that loosely because I don't think any speaker is really terrible unless their heart is corrupt. But even speakers who most people might say that are not that good or gifted, if you label them that way, if you have money, man, you'll be surprised at the look that they give, the perception that they're able to generate because they've been able to come in the right type of packaging. But I would say beyond that, if you do a good job of the dream that you have, if you do a good job of the uh, team that you put together, and I'm going to give you those 7 positions, and if you have the right plan in place, even if you don't have much funds like I didn't have. But to give you an idea, um, I'm the 2002 Winter Olympic torchbearer. That came because of my speeches. I used to give talks in detention centers and prisons and uh, anywhere where somebody would talk, and I would do these no-fee speeches. And over time, the Olympic Committee heard about what I was doing. And this particular year, I was nominated for giving these speeches in these type of places. And that's how I got the honor. Of course, that elevated things. Um, and so when you just start off with your message and we showcase that in the right place. Another thing that I think is probably okay too, Lenise, is that we help our people get connected to speaker bureaus so that they could, and the right relationship to have with a speakers bureau, because it's kind of a misunderstanding of what speakers bureaus actually do. But anybody that comes to us, we get them set with one of the top speakers bureau, depending on what the industry is, because each bureau specializes in a certain industry. So there are youth bureaus, there are attorney bureaus, there are medical bureaus, and so you just want to find the one that matches you the best. But we always get you placed. I have a relationship with 430 speakers bureaus, and so we'll be able to find your people one. The last thing that I would say is that I have a program. We were going to do it in 2020. It's called Mission Inspiration. I'm looking for speakers. I want to book new speakers. So if your speakers will reach out to me, we'll find a place to help them. One of the things that we do is make sure that they're able to share the stage with some A-list celebrity, because it's always great to be able to have a connection with a celebrity. And you can say that you shared the stage with. We try to do those type of um, meet and greet type things for our people to try to do everything we can to get them to be well known, well established, well liked. And that's basically what I can give in this little short time. I know we're kind of all over the place, but if you email me, I'll give you my contact information. And if I have time, you can call. If you have time, Lenise will tell you. I'll pick up the phone. I answer my phones. I'm the same way that you see me now in real life. Is that right, Lenise?
Oh yeah, very
Same way.
approachable, very helpful,
Yep.
and I'm very grateful for all the information. And again, we didn't even get to half of it, and
No,
this
we
was very,
didn't.
very good. And so I really I'm grateful to you all. Again, we have his email here. I'll make sure to also post it in the group, in the feed, so that you are all able to access that easily. If you have additional questions, make sure to post that in the group, and we'll make sure to get those answers. So thank you again, Dr. Earl Davis Jr. We
Can I
appreciate
say
you.
thank you so much? And can I say one last thing
Oh,
about
sure.
the
Go
kind
ahead.
of person that you are? Never stop shining your light. Your audience doesn't realize how grateful they should be to have someone like you. When I got started, there were no speaker circles that I knew of. I would have paid big money to be in an environment where you are, just to be connected, just to be connected to the information. And you're doing this for lots of people. And there's a saying in the economy circles that when a butterfly flaps its wings in one place in the world, it causes a hurricane in another. And that's the kind of force and impact that you're having right now that you don't even realize. And I want to leave your audience with this. It's something that I'm known by. And hopefully, you guys will call. I can tell you, it's a great time to be a speaker. We need good speakers out there right now. We need them. When you look at the amount of stress that people are facing, the amount of people that are out of work right now, when you look at the single moms who are struggling, when you look at the young people who are a revolving door going in and out of prison, when people are looking for things to do and they're forced to sell drugs and things of that nature, if they had a better way, if they had more information coming in. That's why I love the speaking business so much because it's
Mhm.
an opportunity to change people's lives. And so, if you're out there listening to me, I encourage you to follow your dream. And I want to leave this with all of you. It's something that I'm known by, and I want to dedicate this to you. It simply says, follow your dreams wherever they lead. Don't be distracted by less worthy deeds. Shelter them, nourish them, help them to grow. Hold your dreams deep, down deep where dreams grow. Follow your dreams, pursue them with haste. Life is too precious to waste. Be faithful, be loyal in all that you do, and the dream that you follow will keep coming true. My name is Earl Davis. I'm the man with the champion attitude, telling you it's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. May God bless you and may God bless your dream. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Earl. Let's give it up, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation today. I hope you all got something out of that. I know I did. So again, my name is Lanice McGee. This has been our training for the month, our interview for the month. Sometimes we have training, sometimes we just have a nice conversation. But we're going to have something for you every month. We're going to bring something for you in the speaker circle. If there is something that you're in need of or some information you're in need of, feel free to hit me up, let me know, and we'll see what we can do to bring that information to you. Also, feel free to post any speaker opportunities that you may have. If you're looking for that expert speaker, look for them right in this group. Again, have a great day, and we will see you soon.